Before the roaring factories, before the smoke that would change the world forever, there was silence. A silence broken only by the creak of a wooden cart, the cry of a child, and the toll of the church bell announcing another dawn in 17th century England. This was a time before machines ruled the earth, when everything a person needed was made by hand, grown by hand, and earned by the sweat of a brow. But what was life really like for ordinary people before the Industrial Revolution? Today, we step back into that world, a world of candlelight, cold hearths, and endless toil, to uncover the daily life of the forgotten majority. England in the early 1700s was still a nation of farmers. Nearly 80% of its people lived in the countryside, their lives tied to the rhythm of the seasons. The Industrial Revolution had not yet begun. No trains, no factories, no engines. The fastest way to travel was still by horse, and even the simplest goods took weeks to make. Villages were isolated, surrounded by open fields, separated by miles of muddy roads. Most people never traveled farther than 10 miles from where they were born. To them, London was another world entirely. But beyond the peace of the countryside lay harsh realities. Poverty, hunger, and disease stalked the lives of ordinary folk. At dawn, the peasant's day began, not by choice, but by the rising sun. Men and women worked side by side in the fields, tending crops for a landlord they might never meet. Most families lived in single-room cottages, walls of mud and straw, floors of packed earth. The hearth was the heart of the home, but warmth was scarce. A family might burn dried peat or scraps of wood to survive the winter. Breakfast was plain, often bread, cheese, and ale. Water was rarely trusted. Even children drank beer, weak but safer. Life revolved around survival. Every day was labor, sewing, spinning, hauling, chopping, mending. And when night fell, exhaustion came long before rest. Not everyone worked the land. In towns and villages, tradesmen kept the economy alive. Blacksmiths, weavers, carpenters, and cobblers. But trade was slow, and everything was handmade. A single piece of cloth could take days to weave on a spinning wheel. Children began work as soon as they could walk, sweeping workshops, carrying water, or learning their parents' craft. Apprenticeships were the gateway to a future, years of unpaid labor in exchange for skill. But, many never completed them. Disease, famine, or the harsh discipline of masters ended countless lives before adulthood. For women, opportunities were fewer still. They cooked, cleaned, spun yarn, raised children, and often took in laundry or domestic work to survive. In this world, comfort was a privilege. England was a kingdom divided by class. At the top, the nobility and landowners, whose wealth came from rents and inheritance. Below them, merchants, craftsmen, and tradesmen. And at the very bottom, the laborers and the poor, whose lives were a daily struggle. The church was everywhere. It shaped the rhythm of the week, the laws of the land, and the very meaning of morality. Sunday was sacred, not a day of rest, but a reminder of obedience and the unchanging order of society. There were no social safety nets, If a crop failed or illness struck, well, a family could fall into ruin overnight. Many ended up in workhouses, grim institutions meant to teach the poor discipline through hard labor and meager food. Compassion was scarce, really. Survival was everything. Yet, just beyond the horizon, change was coming. Whispers of invention, spinning machines, steam engines, and coal mines were beginning to stir in the north. Ordinary people had no idea their world was about to vanish. Within a few decades, the quiet villages would turn to crowded towns. Fields would become factories, and the hands that once sowed grain would feed the machines of progress, for better and for worse. Before the smoke, before the noise, before the age of iron and steam, there was this, a world of flesh, soil, and silence, the England that time forgot. If you lived in 18th century England, your name might never appear in a history book. But your hands, your labor, built the foundation of a revolution that would change humanity forever. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the past, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time as we uncover how the Industrial Revolution transformed this quiet world into the modern age.